So welcome everybody back to our next installment in the Roadburn Special interview series for Roadburn 2025. And I'm very, very happy to have somebody here with us who was already a huge part of Roadburn 2023 when he and his band Oiseaux-Tempête, I hate my French, Oiseaux-Tempête was artist in residence. So I'm very happy to have Frédéric D Oberland with me tonight. Frédéric, you do know that your name is basically German, right?
Actually, it's Swiss German. Oberland, yes. Oberland is an area in the German part of Switzerland.
Yeah, it's a little higher, right?
Yeah, mountains and stuff like that. Yeah, that's a family story.
Yeah. Do you still speak German? I guess not, right?
Not really. I can understand a few words, but I used to do it at school. But yeah, I mean, this part of my family actually, they were Italians.
Okay.
I mean, the story, the main story is my grandfather was a lost child who was found by Italian people in this German part of Switzerland. And they bring this guy in the area of Veneto in Italy, in Padova and Venezia. So basically, my grandfather was speaking Italian and not. So yeah, I have more roots, let's say close roots to Italy than actually to German.
The first thing, or one of the first things that we always ask here is, do you have any kind of band merch, shirt, record, whatever, by one of your projects or maybe a friend's project that you would like to plug? I'll give you a moment to think while I also plug something. The almighty Godspeed.
Ah, super.
And actually, I bought this shirt at Roadburn 2018, I think.
Okay. Wow.
Yes. So have you got anything to plug?
Yes, actually, we will have. We're doing we will launch it tomorrow, but we are doing a long sleeve t-shirt with Foudre in copper zinc printed, like copper ink on black, of course, black long sleeve t-shirt. Inspired by actually the artwork we've done with the last Foudre. Voltaic Toulousaine. This is the name of the album. And
yeah, we'll come to it in a moment.
And this album was actually, the artwork was done by this French artist called Brulex, with an amazing artist working with the screen print and drawing, and we actually there were two editions of our last albums, and one of the edition was a limited edition with a screen print inside, and it was a little, let's say, demon on this print, and we're actually using this limited picture as the main front of the t-shirt, and it's a long sleeve with also handwritten font of the name of the band by Thibaut Prou, with the graphic designer of Nile Recordings, the label I'm taking care of, and on the right side is several little drawings coming from the regular cover. So this would
just make it clear for everybody, when Frédéric is talking about tomorrow, we're recording this on March 17th. So you might have already seen that on the Foudre site. And let's also come to Foudre, because that's the band that you're going to be performing with at Roadburn this year. It's a very, very interesting record in a very positive way. I mean, normally interesting is the little brother of shitty and boring. I know. But in this case, interesting is really literally interesting, because it sounds as if you want to stand between nearly all genres usually associated with Roadburn. It is. Can you see what I mean with that, or is it too complicated?
No, not. I mean, no, I think I understand. I think I do understand. Like that was also a bit the purpose for us when we went to the studio to record this album, actually. Like, because Foudre is a project. Basically, we started it almost 10 years ago now.
Mhm.
But as something on the side, like yeah, maybe I can speak a bit about the process of
Please.
this. Um, like basically, we will meet a few days before a show,
Mhm.
find out one or two ideas, and then improvised
Mhm.
the show.
Okay.
Possibly record this show,
Mhm.
and then we will do albums with the
Mhm.
recorded material. That was really the mojo of this band
Mhm.
until the last album, actually. So
Okay.
everything was really related to the moment, to the ideas we could have at the moment of the show, to the gear
Mhm.
we wanted to use because it's actually a trio. So with Paul Régimbaud à Kamenkov, with also playing in Oiseaux-Tempête.
Mhm.
And there is Romain Barbeau, who is known under the name of Saad, who is doing like power ambient since 15 years almost.
Yeah.
And but that was really the idea with food was to try to try things out we were not used to do in our other projects. I mean that was really the basis of that.
Mhm.
And but I mean after having released a couple of albums in that way, we really wanted to at some point to go in the studio, and for like three guys like us with lots of things happening in the brain at the same time. I guess we all, like the three of us, were really like that. Um, and also, actually, there is a fourth member of the band who is our Sony engineer, Camille Jamin, who is following the band since not the beginning, but since quite a long time now. And he also really wanted to take care about the session for us to be able to bring lots of shit inside the studio, which was not actually a real studio. Like, I mean, I can
Mhm.
speak also a bit about the process of this specific album. And so when we arrived, of course, we didn't want to release, like, let's say, another drony, loud album as we
Mhm.
did by the past
Mhm.
a couple of times. That was really the idea about being the most versatile uh, we could on the moment, of course, but also to
Mhm.
write a bit, also sometimes to give the opportunity to everyone in the band to take time to think about a specific idea. Because Food started almost like as a drony band without any beats. You know, at the
Mhm.
beginning there were no real drum machine.
Yeah, it's
Uh,
more ambient.
yeah, more ambient, like power ambient, let's say,
Yeah.
even modern classical in an album we did with Christine Ott, playing in the on Marteneau. It was a soundtrack we recorded in an old church in Saint-Méry in Paris, in center of Paris. And so we had this idea about, okay, we already done this thing by the past. So what could we do next? And a few years, like actually just before the confinement, we started to be invited in bigger festival when people maybe want to dance, and
Yeah.
there was this idea about like maybe maybe it would be interesting for food to actually try this thing. So Monkov, who used to do like electronic dance music by the
Mhm.
past, and who step by step quitted in a way this area of electronic music to go more into experimental
Mhm.
loud music and stuff like that. Like the idea was with Romain from SAD was to a bit to push him like in that way, like, man, you know, like you don't play drum machine anymore, so maybe we can we can I mean you can take care about that, because all our gear, especially modular system, we're all connected. I mean, it's a bit
Mhm.
like the gear we have together, the three of us. It's
Mhm.
like uh, connecting brains in a way, like in a really analog way, because there is no computer. It's really like vintage, or not just vintage, but like Eurorack, Buchla system, drum machine, and everything is connected with cables in MIDI or in voltage. So sometimes also we can receive the information of rhythm, and also Romain and I do also rhythm. But the idea was like mainly, okay, Monkov is taking care about the drum machine. Romain and I, we're taking care about the melodies, about the chords. Maybe we can write a bit, and over the top of this, improvise. Like really decide about the starting point of an improvisation, like kind of ritualistic thing. I think this is a thing which is important for the three of us. And yeah, and from the started idea, let's try to find the trends. That was really like the main purpose of this album. To go to the studio, and obviously when we arrived in the studio, we spent, I don't remember, 3-4 days. Of course, other things arrived. So like the idea about being maybe louder with, because I like, there is no guitar, for example. It's not a band with guitars. Like, I'm the only one to play. I'm playing an electric saz, which is an Turkish instrument, electro baglama. This is the real name. But I'm plugging this so this string instrument, basically it's 3 double strings. I'm plugging it through guitar pedals and stuff. And actually, it's really good with a fuzz. So that, like, the idea about being loud and powerful, but without maybe the regular elements of a loud band, like that was something we found interesting. The same as for the vocals of Paul Monkov. Paul is a huge fan of black metal and loud music, and that was also the idea to.
Isn't he also a member of Violent Magic Orchestra?
Yeah, sometimes he's playing with them, right? Yeah. I don't know if they will play together in this edition, because like VMO is also playing, but yeah, they did an album together, or maybe two, but they did an album for sure, and they toured together in Japan. Yeah, and so like, yeah, that was really this idea about, and also we do love sci-fi soundtracks, and so there was really this mix about, okay, now let's try like this kind of mood, Japanese sci-fi, and now let's try this kind of like post-metal stuff, and okay, now let's try this hard beat post-Otaker track in a way. And of course, the idea is not to do something which was already done by the past. It's more like, like it's like a bit oblique strategies card by Brain. This. I mean, I think the three of us, with the limitations we have, also, like because we have skills, but we have limitations. The idea is to push this thing with the Leviathan, which could be a band at some point, like the fact to connect the three of us is at the same time an addition, and on the other side, when it's actually working, this Leviathan, which could be a band, is even bigger than us. And I mean, I like this thing in the process. Yeah.
It's also interesting to look at it. I just looked it up because you said no limitations, or let's try out this, let's try out that. I just looked up the list of genres that people associated with the last Foudre album, with Volto Chuteru Sen. It says it's ambient, electroacoustic, techno, electronic body music, industrial, power electronics, post-punk, avant-garde, and trance.
Wow, that's fun.
That's also one of the ideas, like it's everything in a way, but nothing 100%, which is of course a very typical Roadburn band in a way, like doing everything good, very good, but committing not to one genre. I think that's the way that Foudre fits perfectly to Roadburn. It's also very interesting. You mentioned, you play the baklama, and of course, all three of you are playing synths. But you are listed with playing 4 more instruments. Would you say of yourself that you're a multi-instrumentalist?
Wow. Yeah. To be,
here it says you're playing 6 instruments.
Yeah. I mean, to be 100% honest, that's maybe, that's the way I could describe myself, because I'm not a specialist of any kind of instrument. I can barely play a lot of stuff, and I like that. I like to play wind instrument, for example, and in the Foudre there is a zurna, which is a Tunisian double reed instrument.
Mm-hmm.
I'm playing also a chalumeau. The other name of this instrument is a clarino. It's like an ancestor of the clarinet, but smaller. And I play it in a bit in the way I could play the duduk, which is an Armenian big flute, with reeds, it's not a flute. And I love this idea. For example, I love the winds, and I could play the sax. I mean, I'm not playing saxophone in this Foudre album, but I played it on the one before. But I don't like to play this instrument the way the way it should be, in a way. I like to twist it. I like to maybe to evoke semitones, quartotones, to use it maybe more as a weird voice than a regular wind instrument. Same with the saz and baglama. I'm not a saz player at all. I mean, wow, but
is that maybe even already an advantage that you're not a real baklama player, not a real saz player, that you are not mentally limited to how the instrument should be played?
I mean, that's possible. I mean, that's a nice way of seeing this thing. Even in Oiseaux-Tempête, I was seen as, let's say, the guitar player. That was my main instrument inside Oiseaux-Tempête, and lots of the tone of this band was the correlation in between my guitar and the basics from Stéphane. That was the basis of the sound of Oiseaux-Tempête. But I never learned how to play the guitar. I mean, the only instrument I had lessons for was the piano. It's the only one. Then from this, when I was 16, I jumped into the guitar, a bit the clarinet, a bit percussion, a bit synths, anything barely, I like the sound. I'm trying, if I have something in my hand, I'm trying it. And to focus on what you said, I guess I like the idea to sculpt or to find a sound which could be mine in a way. I like this idea about when I'm listening an album, sometimes I don't know who are the players, but you recognize. You can wow, this guitar player is this guy. Of course, it's obviously noticeable with vocalists. Let's say I think this is the first thing we are hearing when there is a voice. But you can have the same with a way of playing drums, with the way an electric instrument could sound, the way strings, winds, and even synths. And I like this idea about nothing is about virtuosity. To be honest, virtuosity for me, it's really something I like. Wow, I have respect for that because it's years of work. But I'm not. I don't get it. As a player, I need sensitivity, and sensitivity sometimes it's just 3 notes, but it's the way you're actually putting this note together, the way you interpret, you are interpreting this small melody, this small pattern is for me far more far more important and far more sensitive than the fact you can play everything. But that's really my way of
No,
playing.
I know what you mean, and I really think that is one of the strongholds of Foudre. It never sounds planned too much. It doesn't sound as if somebody sat down and wrote a huge composition. It sounds very in the moment.
But on the other side, we also we do, like, for example, on this last album with Romain, we were both taking care about the chords. And Romain from SAD get another project which is called Sable Noir, in which he's playing with a great saxophone player who is actually really coming from the jazz. And together, I mean, they found something which actually, I guess, helped really Romain to complexify a bit his approach of melodies. And for the session of the last Foudre, actually, when we went into the studio, I could really feel this thing from Romain coming. And actually, from a band who never used to put words on the music we were playing, like words on the notes, on the scale we were using. Actually, now we could, and that was also something really interesting. I mean, I love the art of counterpoint from Johann Sebastian Bach. Like, I mean, when I'm talking about virtuosity, I'm not talking about the way we can write or build or understand or recompose music. I feel like I do really take care about that, and it's more and more important even in my own compositions or when you do soundtracks, for example. I guess it's important to understand, but I mean sometimes, but actually more to understand is to hear it. Like you know what I mean? It's I guess the music is so like the art of the music is the art of the invisible. Like the everything we can use to transcript the music is an help, but it's not an.
Yeah, it's also the way that, how should I say, it's what happens between the notes, right?
Completely.
Something that struck me also when doing my research for this interview is Voltaire Chute was now the 6th Foudre album. And you released on 3 different labels. Are you wandering spirits, or did you just simply have to open your own label?
No, we do our Wandering Spirits, and actually, like NAD Recordings, the label I have, and also with Paul Mankoff, was not open. Like we didn't start it to be able to release our own labels. Sorry, our own
your own stuff.
Yeah. Like that was another pass, and well, it's also a tool in a way. Like it's also it's also a possibility. And for this album, a bit like because the last Oiseaux-Tempête was so co-released between Sub Rosa and actually Nile Recordings, because it was also the possibility for us to have some fundings from the state, basically, to be able to get money to pay the sound engineer, to pay, like, there is also this thing about how you put out an album, how you build it, how you think about it. I guess with Foudre at the beginning, the first label was Blowback, which is a tape label run by Romain from SAD. Then I used to do since years stuff with Gizzy Record, UK label.
Richard Knox.
With Richard Knox. And so there was a natural path to propose him. Like, I guess he released 2 albums. And then I think, the last 2 they were done on Nile Recordings for, like, obvious reasons. Also, because we were thinking, actually, it's nice in the roster of Nile Recordings to have like Future Sabah. Like, it's also opening. Each time we do release an album with the label, it's also an invitation, also about maybe for other people to send stuff, which are not just like dark, weird, experimental ambient, even if
Yeah.
I genre, but we are far more open-minded and wanderers, as you said. And I have no idea. I mean, we have no idea about the next food. You know, like we know we will work on new things kind of soon, actually. But that's really not sure we will do it with Nile recordings. When
Mm.
like, I guess Foudre is the same with artworks. We always change. I mean, it was never the same guys or never the same
Yeah,
artists.
yeah. It's never there's no red line.
It's really like completely open. And I guess it's also interesting to have a band like this, which actually could move from a label to another, from a country to another, from
Mhm.
yeah, well,
Maybe also to be able to play in other countries.
yep, 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 yeah. Yeah, I mean that's really something we mainly start like we mainly playing with food. We play just in France and Belgium, I guess. So Netherlands will be like a new territory. We are planning. We will
Very
go to
similar to the Belgians, don't worry.
no. I
But
said
I know
France,
what you mean.
Belgium,
Yeah.
and Netherlands. But actually, it was Belgium speaking French. Like Brussels. And but actually, we do actually go in the UK. We go to the UK next June. We have five
Cool.
shows. Like London, Bristol, maybe close to Manchester. Uh,
Just send me the dates and we'll put them right underneath
yeah, yeah.
this
I will
interview.
send.
And everybody in the UK, then if you get the chance to watch and to experience Foudre, do so. I have one question where I would like to also bring in Oiseaux-Tempête a little bit.
Yep.
Looking at Oiseaux-Tempête and also at the people who are involved with the records, I always had the feeling as if Oiseaux-Tempête is more of a collective, whereas Foudre sounds or seems more like not a fixed but a very clear band. Is that also something in there? You know, three people make quicker decisions than a collective?
That's for sure. That's for sure. That's for sure, definitely. Yeah, I mean, many things with Oiseaux-Tempête. I mean, it's basically it's for real like the album they put out as a collective. It's really like there are on every album the touch of like the vibe of everyone involved.
Mm.
Not the all decisions are made collectively. I mean, because it would
Hmm.
have been a mess. We we couldn't have done more than
Yeah.
10 albums in that way. But when someone is asked to be part of the crew for let's say a track for an album or for a tour is really definitively inside of it.
Mm.
Um, for sure, like a trio like Foudre, like the nice thing with three people, it's like, I mean, you're free. So like, if you have an argue, it's very easy to vote, like,
Yeah. It's always 2 to 1.
like, yeah, exactly, and also, I guess it's also bringing everyone to be more active, like, I mean,
Mm. Yeah.
in the whole, in the whole, in all the decisions you want to do. I guess it's far more easy when you're less and
Mm.
when it's not a pair number that everyone will do at some point, like, okay, like this guy is busy, like I have a bit of time, so then I will do this. Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure. But to be back to Oiseaux-Tempête, it is a collective, but it's also like a moving collective. Like
Mm.
we were like two, three people to decide, and then inviting the other ones to
Mm.
join. But on a daily basis, it was not like a collective for everything we had to decide.
Mm.
But regarding touring, regarding like let's say what we done, like in in Roadburn, we were at some point 12. The crew was 12 people,
Yeah.
including the video artist and sound engineer, two sound engineers. Like, I mean, yeah, that's a lot of people.
Yeah.
we're all friends, so that was huge fun, big fun. I have
Of
really
course.
memories of these free shows. But there was also like we also knew when we did these free shows and in Roadburn that we will do a pause afterwards. Like there was
Yeah.
we knew like it was also this the way to be able to celebrate these 10 years, like actually it was more than 10 years, but 10 years of doing albums was also a nice way to um, to move also, afterwards. We like some of us we really needed to do something else. Like basically for me, like Oiseaux-Tempête was at some point 70% of my time dedicated to music. So that's a lot. Yeah, I am so proud. I'm so happy about the story of this collective, about everyone who were involved. Like wow, like I mean, we really did some stuff I never thought we could do, but on the other side, I was really a relief since 2 years now to be able to work on other stuff. For
Yeah.
Foudre, for example, like Foudre, I guess could never do a studio album if Oiseaux-Tempête was still like in the same rhythm. Like we record, we do an album, then we go on tour, then there is another tour. Like this rhythm was insane at some point, like a bit. So yeah.
I have one last question before we come to the infamous quickfire round. You've mentioned, and we've now heard, that there are many, many sound elements in the sound of Foudre that are from other countries. We've heard about the Turkish music influences and instruments. We've heard about Maghrebian influences. Would you say that the combination of all those influences is also a result of you living in France and in Paris in particular, where, of course, we have a multi-ethnic, multicultural society?
That's a nice question. I mean, that's a clever question. Actually, I don't think for me it's a result of Paris. But it's more a result of my own travels or my own experience, or also the Oiseaux-Tempête experience. Like like we recorded in Lebanon, we did 2 albums there. I moved to Turkey to be able to work on on Utopia, the second album. Then we went to Tunisia because we did a soundtrack for a film of a Tunisian filmmaker. And then I went back there, played with some guys there, did a solo album with there is also Tunisians musicians playing in there. I'm really close from a few musicians, like living in Middle East, living in Tunisia, living in, let's say, even Montreal, but they're Lebanese or they're Syrian or like, and I think like even on a daily basis, I'm more listening to extra, let's say, extra Occidental music, even if I don't like to separate things, but than to rocky stuff, it's really my background, and I have also the chance to like some friends of mine. They're also like giving. They open my mind also, like in a way they send me albums, they send me records. A guy like Radwan Gazimumne from Jerusalem in My Heart, who is a really close friend. Like each time we sing each other, like I mean, we're changing a lot about this, and also playing with these guys. I think I could understand a bit some of the scales, like some of the semitones stuff, quartetone stuff, microtonal stuff, and that's really my I think the way I went into this. Like to be honest, Paris of course is multicultural, but it's also very much divided. Like I mean, when I say divided, I mean it's not there is a few events, and I love these events, and I love these people like actually uh, bringing out these things like which are actually trying to connect, but it's more like a multicultural city in which everyone is also staying in the scene, you know, in their own scene,
Yeah.
you know. So
It's more of a salad bowl than a melting pot, right?
yeah, kind of. You know, I think for me, like a place like Brussels or like a place like Montreal is far more. Or maybe it's also because the people I know there, but it's far more multicultural in a way than Paris really is.
Probably also because of the size of the city, right? I mean, like Paris has what, 8 million, 9 million people, if I
Yeah,
remember correctly.
and I
And
think
Brussels and Montreal are both much smaller.
yeah, but also I think Paris depends what you say about what what you define as the superficie of Paris, you know, like because Paris is kind of is it like Paris as central Paris, like let's say, which is called Paris without the suburbs. I mean,
Yeah.
it's kind of there is a big density of people, but it's also quite small actually in superficie. You know, it's not that, and it's also very expensive to live there. So it's also like we do really have now problems with venues to have like let's say small or middle venues to actually do stuff. You know, like we have really this almost political because I mean the economy is also politics.
It is
Pressure
politics.
about you know like for all the indie scenes and to connect, but like a city like Montreuil, which is like east of Paris, actually is far more diversified and far more multicultural. For example, there's a really nice city close to Paris. Yeah.
Frédéric, first of all, thanks for all the insight into how Foudre makes the records and how you also go on about, you know, the differences between Oiseau and Foudre, and also, you know, the differences in sound. But nobody leaves the Veil of Sound without having to go through the infamous quickfire round. You will always get two alternatives, and you have to choose one of them and give a short explanation. And I know that the first one will already be a pain in the ass for you.
Okay.
I looked into the discography and into the track titles of Foudre, and one of your records is called Future Sabbath. So, of course, I have to give you the Black Sabbath question. Which singer is better, Ronnie James Dio or Ozzy Osbourne?
Wow. Well, that's tough. That's tough, you know.
Yeah, so question whether you want the original or the better singer.
Well, man, I want the original always, you know.
Okay, so then Ozzy. You have a track called Acid Karma.
Yep.
So, of course, you know, mental as my brain is, it jumps straight into acid music. So I give you two bands from the British acid music scene of the 80s. Happy Mondays versus the Boo Radleys.
Happy Monday. I was thinking you would talk about psychedelics actually when you say acid.
No. What is more important for you when you make music, or no, when you listen to music? Is it music to take drugs to, or music to dance to?
Okay, I can be
and
honest.
Drugs, of course, including weed. You know, I'm not talking about cocaine.
Yeah. No. I was like again, I was more thinking about psychedelics. So no, like yeah, music to take drugs to, and sometimes you can also dance.
Yeah, that's the example. You know, like
no
you first do this, and you do that. I don't know where I came up with this couple. There must be a reason behind it. I wrote down Kate Bush versus Peter Gabriel. Did you somewhere mention or do something with Kate Bush? Could that be? Or about a cover or something?
No,
I'm not sure.
No, actually.
But still, Kate Bush versus Peter Gabriel.
I love Kate Bush.
So it's Kate Bush?
I love Kate Bush.
Well, let's agree to disagree. It would always be Gabriel for me.
No, but I mean, No. I mean, maybe it's because of a child thing, like, but yeah, I mean, I don't know. She's really bringing me in a place like I'm smiling, like I
Mhm.
don't know why, like
Mhm.
this really uh happy, weird thing.
Mhm.
Yeah, like I mean, I do love a couple of stuff from Peter Gabriel, of course, but I mean, Kate Bush is like I don't know. It reminds me I was 6 years old, like something like that.
No, I don't know why. I've discovered both around roughly the same time, and it would always be Gabriel. I don't know why. Um, I also had like one Gabriel moment. When was that? 2022, 2023, something like that. We had a huge flood here in Germany, and he was playing a concert, and he did all of the announcements in German.
Wow.
And then I'll give you the translation, not the German original. Then he said, and the next track goes out to all our friends in the flooded areas. And he sang, "Here Comes the Flood." And he sang it in German. And I was just standing there crying my balls out. Let's go back to something positive. FX Twin.
Yep.
Select ambient works or the Richard D. James album.
That's also very hard to choose actually, because
I know. And I'm very happy I don't have to.
yeah, I really love both. I really love both. I really love both. I mean, it will depend about the context, maybe.
Right. Which record would you rather listen to right now?
Selected ambient. Yeah.
Mhm.
You chill out, you see the light, like the sun's just going down.
Yeah.
I,
Did
I
you
not wanna dance right now,
did you get the new super edition of Select Ambient Works where
Oh,
once he collected all the different tracks from all the different editions? And I think it's a triple or a quadruple LP.
wow, I will check this thing out and I'm noting it straight away. Wow, super. I will check for that. Like
And
actually,
last, yeah,
the from this guy, he put out like a couple of years ago just a track on SoundCloud under with another name, and I
yeah,
think it was a kind of requiem for one of his friends or someone of his family died, maybe his father. I don't remember, but this track I cried. Like wow,
yeah.
beauty of this thing. You see which track I'm talking about?
I think I do.
Yeah, like I can't find it again on
But
SoundCloud. It's there, but I do remember listening this thing in the studio. We were mixing something with my sound engineer, and wow, I cried. Wow, like it's so amazing. I mean, it's such, I think, an inspiration. Like let's say for Foudre, for the three of us, because
Mhm.
of course we do share a lot of inspirations together, but we have also stuff we're not connected at all. But I guess like this guy like almost everything he did. Like it's like he's really yeah, it's a huge inspiration. Uh, and it
and
doesn't age. It's like
no,
really a, a good alcohol you can keep for years, and with the bottle open, I mean, like
yeah,
it's not like just you keep it on the side. It's more like you have a taste and you go back and even the production, like the way it's produced, because it's such like each time it's so connected to the moment, like to
yeah,
the year it's released, you can hear the
yeah,
reverb or all the vernis, like the like uh, the last layer,
mhm.
which the mastering, like the way. Okay, this thing is from 96. This thing is from
Yeah,
2000.
yeah.
You know what I
It's
mean?
very contemporary, but at the same
Yeah,
time,
and it's
timeless.
aging well, and
Yeah.
timeless. Yeah, wow.
And one of a few electronic artists where I myself, not being a huge electronic fan, but for me, FX Twin would be the perfect artist in residence for Roadburn.
Wow. Yeah, that could be
As
amazing.
as an electronic artist, for me, that would be Richard D. James, definitely. Last one. Um, I'll give you two soundtrack composers because you also already have done soundtrack stuff with
Yep,
Foudre.
yep.
Um, I'll give you Angelo Badalamenti's Twin Peaks and Vangelis Blade Runner.
Wow! I know you kill me with this question. Like it's impossible to choose, man. It's impossible to choose.
Yeah,
Impossible.
and which one would you choose right now?
Uh,
Just in this very moment.
okay. So you will have a double answer. Double answer.
Okay.
Blade Runner by Vangelis is, I guess, for me the best, like the number one soundtrack, like in my heart deeply.
Mm-hmm.
It's even maybe one soundtrack which give me which was one of the biggest inspiration in the way I do music. I guess it's the same with Paul Monkoff. I guess it's the same with Romain Saad. So like the three guys of Foudre. That's for sure. But yesterday night I saw like on Arte, like this German French
Yeah, this German French TV station.
or maybe no, it's not on Arte, it's on Mubi. Like it's like a platform you can
Yeah,
see,
yeah.
you can watch film online, indie platform, really nice. There is 1 hour and a half of um, uh, cut scenes from Twin Peaks. They made a kind of 1 hour and a half films about um, scenes which were not chosen to be part of Twin Peaks.
Mm-hmm.
And I really wanted to see it yesterday, and I think I will actually tonight. And of course, in this 1 hour and a half, like I watched the trailer and I was hearing straight away the music from Angelo Badalamenti, and with also one of actually the composer who pushed me in a way to even to do soundtracks. Like really, this guy is amazing. I mean, it's properly amazing. The collaboration that they had with David Lynch, and especially with Twin Peaks, because it's also 3 seasons, so it's like all the period of times like they were working on. Also, this guy Dean Early, I think I know you. I mean, like you know this guy, like with Angelo. I mean, wow, there is really this thing. He's so good with the Rhodes. I have you can see Rhodes just beneath me. I think this
Mm-hmm.
instrument
Yeah,
right now.
yeah. Behind, yeah.
Yeah. So like yeah, I'm such a fan of this guy. So you have a double answer. I'm sorry I can't I
Oh,
can't.
that's all. That's totally fine. Frederick, last question that I always ask in this series interviews is there any gig that you yourself are looking forward to seeing in Tilburg?
Wow. So I didn't. I saw the list,
Mm-hmm.
and there is like yeah, there is bunch of actually shows I would like to see,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't actually look if it was the day we played.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
I can give you like a bit of the bands I would like to see, but I'm still not sure because I mean we're playing the day before, and I'm not sure we will the day before show, and I'm not sure we can stay another day. But yeah, of course, I mean there is Big Brave playing Big Brave. His friend, they do a friend of us, and I love this guy so much, and I love the last album, and I know they will play this thing. Same with Skull Guns, Switzerland band, France, and I love like Zombie, French band, really good, France. Uh, but then like because I was almost sure you will ask me this question, so so I wanted also to have a bit the opinion of my bandmates, and so like one of them told me about page 19,
Page
90,
99.
because I don't know this band, but he was huge fan of this one.
Yeah.
Uh,
For
uh,
everybody out there, if you want a hardcore show at Roadburn,
yeah,
don't
uh,
miss page 99.
yeah. Of course, there is VMO, Violent Magic
Yeah.
Orchestra, like Paul played with them.
They're playing
Me,
on
I would,
Sunday, if I remember correctly.
oof, cool. And me, I really like. I would really want to see like actually two things: the collaboration between Sumac and Moore Mother,
Yeah.
like,
It's
and
really good.
Yeah,
It's really good. I've already heard it. It's
yeah, wow. You saw them playing together?
no, but I've already heard what
Yeah,
they're gonna release.
yeah, it's
So
super.
I assume that we're gonna play a lot from that, and
I heard one track, and this track is amazing.
the whole
And
the whole thing is it's like blowing away.
yeah,
There
cool.
will be a lot of people watching that, and they will automatically go out and would say like, okay, that could be the album of the year.
Ah, super, super. And also the collaboration in between the body and this fig. You know, like
Yeah,
yeah, like I do
that was
like.
already a cool record last year. Yeah, that's a
Yeah,
really
yeah, yeah.
good one.
I heard the record last year.
Yeah,
I know the guys from Like It. I know also the sound engineer of Foudre, Like It very much. So yeah, and also I heard like the collaboration in between Midwife and this
Steve
singer.
Till.
Yeah, and like I just heard one track and I was really yeah yeah, I'm looking forward if I can see it, and also the singer from Amenra, like Colin.
Sure, Colin. Yes.
Yeah, like
Yeah, Colin's going to be performing twice.
wow, super, super.
He's once performing as Colin solo,
Yep.
and once with his friend Tommy as the Mannen Brothers. And it's funny that you mentioned so many artists that we already did interviews with. So if anybody needs to find out more, check our Roadburn Special Gateway page. We have loads of interviews with Big Brave, with Colin van Eckhout, with Coil Guns. So, you know, if you are not sure what to watch, that might be your page. Frédéric, I am very much looking forward to seeing you in Tilburg, not only out in the streets, but also on stage. And for everybody, they are playing, if I remember correctly, on Saturday, the 19th. So make sure to, if you have a moment, check in with Foudre. It might be the case that you're not leaving once you checked in. Frédéric, thanks a lot for your time and enjoy the rest of your evening, my friend.
Thanks, Forten. Thanks a lot for all these very interesting questions, and looking forward to the Roadburn.
My pleasure. See you in Tilburg. Bye bye.
In Tilburg.